Welcome back to our course on PowerPoint 2013. In this section we're going to look at lists, bulleted and numbered lists. And we're going to start by taking a look at one of the slides that we have in our presentation about the PowerPoint 2013 ribbon. Now, probably the most important thing to point out here is that when you are creating a bulleted list like this one, or adapting or customizing, modifying a bulleted list like this one, you need to make sure that you are making it at the correct level. What I mean by that is that I'm going to demonstrate some of the features of bulleted and numbered lists here on an individual slide, but in fact you may want to work on the layouts that this and other slides were created on, or maybe even from the master slide, so that any changes you make to a bulleted or numbered list are carried forward into either the equivalent slides in the same presentation that are built from the same layout, or indeed all of the slides in the presentation. So although I'm going to demonstrate this on an individual slide for the moment, we'll look at applying those changes to a layout or a master a little bit later on in the section. You may already have noticed that most of the templates that are available in PowerPoint 2013, and maybe most of the ones that you've tried using already, feature bullet point lists very strongly. And traditionally with PowerPoint, bullet point lists have always been a major feature. In fact, if you look at PowerPoint presentations nowadays, it's still usually the case that many of the slides feature bullet point lists. This is very often because the slides are used to accompany perhaps a talk, a description, a speech, where the speaker, the presenter, wants to be reminded of the main points, and the bullet point list is a very convenient way of doing this. I would anticipate that you'll probably want to incorporate bulleted or numbered lists into your presentations, so it's worth spending a little bit of time talking about how to customize them and how to use them to good effect. On the slide we're looking at now, which is for the Home tab on the ribbon, and with the names of three groups: Slides, Paragraph and Drawing, let's look at how we can actually customize the bullet list. First of all, if I select the three lines, note that many of the commands on the ribbon become available. And if I go up to the Paragraph group, the top left command is the Bullets command. And to the right of that there's a little drop down. If I click on that, and that gives me a list of the default bullets that are available. Now at the moment I've got filled round bullets. If you select the one to the right of that, note you have Live Preview, hollow round bullets. Then we have filled square bullets, hollow square bullets, and so on. You can quite easily change the bullets that are used in a bullet list. And in fact, note that I've still got these three lines selected. If I click on that same drop down on the Bullets button in the Paragraph group again, go down to the bottom, Bullets and Numbering, there are two further options down here in the bottom right hand corner. One of them is Customize, one of them's Picture. If I click on Customize first, it gives you access to the symbols that are available, so you can use any of the available symbols as a bullet point. So for instance, if you wanted to use the pi character, click on OK, click on OK. Your bullet point list is now made up with the bullets as pi characters. It's going to undo that particular change, and again back into there, Bullets and Numbering, click on Picture, and you can actually choose a picture from a file on your own machine, or you can go to office.com clip art or do a Bing image search, or even go to your SkyDrive, so you can put your own picture in there if you wish. Now one of the things to notice about a bullet list, I've put the cursor to the right of the word Drawing. If I press the Enter key, the bullet list automatically continues, and if I want to end it, there are a couple of ways of doing it. One of them is if I press Enter, so I'm continuing the bullet list, but then I press Enter again, I actually get a gap in the bullet list. If I want to switch the bullet list off, all I need to do is to press the Bullets button in the Paragraph group. Click that on the button, not the drop down, and we no longer have a bulleted list. So I could now just start typing things in a regular kind of way. So if I now type the word clipboard, for example, it's not a bulleted item. So having typed the word clipboard there, what I'm now going to do is to show you numbered lists, and there's a button to the right of the bullets button in the paragraph group. There's a number one that's called numbering, and if I click on numbering, what happens is clipboard, the word I just typed, becomes part of a numbered list. And again, the numbering is an automatic system unless I cause it to stop, and of course it counts upwards. So if I now type in slides, that's item 2 in the list, font, that's item 3 in the list, and so on, and the numbering is automatic. And of course the way you would stop the numbering is exactly the way that we stopped the bulleting just now. Now for both of these types of lists, bulleted and numbered, I can easily insert another entry within the list. So if I take the bulleted one to begin with, it goes slides paragraph. If I wanted to start it at clipboard, if I click to the left of the word slides and type in clipboard and press enter, it automatically sorts out the bulleting. And if I go to the end of the word slides, press enter, then it automatically gives me a line that I can type font onto. So in that way I can insert within the list as well. Works exactly the same way with a numbered list. So what I'm now going to do is to remove the numbered list from this slide. So let me just get rid of clipboard, slides and fonts, select them all, press the delete key, and now I'm going to select that list, the list now with these 6 group names in it, and I'm now going to press the numbering button, and it just turns the whole list into a numbered list. Similarly, to turn it back to bulleted, very straightforward. Note that when I do that, it goes back to the default bullets again. Now let's suppose that I want to put into here the names of some of the commands. I'm going to put in the names of 3 of the commands from the slides group. So I've got slides there. I'm going to go to the end of the word slides, press enter, and then I've got new slide is one of the buttons, layout is another one, and reset is another one. Now what I want to do next is to give this some structure. So what I want to do is to indicate that those 3 buttons, those 3 commands I've just entered the names of, are actually within the slides group. And the way I do that is to select those 3, and then in the paragraph group, if I move along to the right, there's a couple of buttons we've used already in another context. There was decrease list level and increase list level. In this case I want to increase the list level for those 3. Watch what happens. What I now have is the beginning of a structured list, a structured bulleted list, where 3 items are indented. Now similarly, if I wanted to put in 3 items in the clipboard group, if I pressed enter after the word clipboard, what I could do is do the indenting first and then type the names. Well, you can't see the names there at the moment, but hopefully by now you know what they are anyway. You'll also notice that as I do that, PowerPoint 2013, because it's using an intelligent placeholder for this text, will resize the font to make sure that it can fit everything in. Now I've selected the whole of my list again, and it's obviously a bulleted list with a bit of structure to it. I should point out that I can carry this structure to many more levels if I want to. But if I now go into the paragraph group and go back to the numbering list and click on numbering, watch what happens. I finish up with a 2-level numbered list. The top level items, clipboard, slides, font, the names of the groups, are still number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but within those the individual commands within each group are also numbered 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now that may not be the most convenient way of numbering, and I can in fact go in and customize that. So for instance, If I took the first three here, paste, copy, cut, they're the commands within the clipboard group, select those, click on the drop down next to numbering, and say went for the ABC option, again note the live preview, I could structure that in that way, and that maybe with the next group, same thing as well. So in that way I can give myself a nice numeric structure to the items in a list on a slide. So you can see how flexible this numbering and bulleting system is. Let's suppose that I want to set up all of my slides in this presentation that have tabs, groups and commands on them in this way. I'm not going to go through each of them individually. As I mentioned at the beginning of the section, it will be a much better idea to go to the specific layout or even to the master and set up this structure. Well, let's choose on this occasion to use the appropriate layout because I've used the same layout for all of the slides in this presentation except the very first one. So click on View, click on Slide Master. Now let me find the layout that's used for these. That's the master, that's the title slide, that's the one. It's the one that's used. And if I look within the placeholder, note it's actually got a picture of the levels of the bulleting or numbering structure here. If I click in the first one, the top level, what I want there is numbering. So if I click to the home and then select numbering, that will show up as numbering. Now let me go to the second level. Remember, I'm working on the layout here, not on individual slide. Let me now go and choose the lettering. And that's it. So I want one at the top level, lettering A, B, C and so on at the second level. If I don't intend to use the other levels, I don't need to do anything with them because they'll never appear. So let me go back to Slide Master and close that. Now let's look at the other slides. Clearly that's the one we did manually. Let's go to another slide, say the Insert slide. Let's look at the Images group within there. Let me do Pictures as the first command, and then of course I have to indent it, increase the indent level to make it appear at the second level, and of course it becomes an A. So if I go back to Insert, I can then say Online Pictures, that will be a B, and so on. And you can see there the advantages of working on the layout because all of the other slides inherit the same structure and you don't have to keep resetting numbering at the top level, ABC at the second level and so on. It's all done for you automatically by applying it to the layout. If in fact you wanted to use that same style throughout the whole presentation, you could do exactly the same thing on the master slide. So that brings us to the next exercise for you to do. I would like you to extend the presentation on the tabs on the PowerPoint 2013 ribbon so that for each of the tabs you still have a list of 3 groups, but within the groups you have up to 3 commands. With some of the tabs there are not that many groups and commands on the tab. So for instance the Transitions tab that you can see here, the Preview group only has a preview command. The Transitions to this slide group only has a gallery and then a single command, although the Timing group has a number of commands and options in it. So do your best to make each of them up to 3 and 3. I'd also like you to include date, footer and slide number on each of the slides except the title slide. I'd like you to apply a theme and a variant of your choice, and of course run a spell check to make sure that you've spelt everything on all of your slides correctly. I've saved my answer to that as example 6. I'll see you in the next section.